Get Smart really is a writer's show.
We all had it in our minds. Let's do the slapstick for the kids and the political satire for the adults.
I think Get Smart was very unique because there's never been anything like it again.
The show was Don's show. I mean, if it weren't for him, it wouldn't have been.
Agent 86.
American culture in the early 60s was much simpler than it is today. There was a lot of fear also about other countries spying on us and knowing things about us. And it was a time when we were concerned about the nuclear bomb.
John F. Kennedy loved Ian Fleming's James Bond character, and that started all these James Bond movies of Goldfinger and Thunderball. We've also West. All these spy things are happening on television. So the time is really ripe for a parody of the spy movies, which is what Dan Melnick cleverly came up with the idea there.
Dan Melnick said to Mel Brooks and to me at different times, he said, what are the two big films in the world today? James Bond and Clouseau. Get the picture?
That's nice, well smart. The control agent I told you about.
This kind of satire spoof, this Mel Brooks kind of humor isn't on television at the time, because all you've really got is Hazel and I Love Lucy. You've got like kind of family situation comedies. It's before Laugh-Ins happened on TV. It's way before Saturday Night Live. And that's the kind of humor that the show is introducing.
Well, it was up all our alleys. I mean, it was sort of signature stuff for me and for Mel and for a number of the other writers. It was commissioned by ABC, but they read the script of the pilot and thought, and I don't argue with them, that it was juvenile, stupid, and vaguely un-American.
Chaos has a nuclear bomb.
Doesn't everybody?
All we know is that they threatened to wipe out the city containing our finest intellectual minds and greatest leaders.
Well, at least Washington is safe.
We were in the doldrums and feeling bad when NBC presented a lifeline. They had looking for a property for Don Adams. And we decided that he'd be ideal for this.
Where did Don Adams come from? Don Adams was a stand-up comedian, and he was just kind of, fumbling around. He was in Miami Beach, playing some of the hotels there as a stand-up comedian. He comes up to New York for one of his parents' funerals. He realizes that Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts is having a casting call, an audition. So he goes to try out, and his real name is Don Yarmy. And so he's really tired at this point of being like the last one called in for the audition because his last name begins with Y. So at the spur of the moment, he just decides his last name's going to be Adams, which is his wife's stage name. So he becomes Don Adams, gets called up first, goes up, does his bit, and is doing some really funny material that he'd done in the Miami nightclubs. And that's what gets him his start. Suddenly he's on the Ed Sullivan Show, he's on all the Jack Paar Show. He's really making it big. And one of his good friends, he teams up with a man named Bill Dana.
Who's there?
Jose?
Jose who?
Jose Jimenez.
I was house sitting for Imogene Coca, 300 Central Park West, and you have to see, this was like a Hollywood wealthy person's apartment. This thick white rug and this ebony Steinway there. Don Adams was told to come and see Bill Dana, and he goes up, he knocks on the door, and I'm wearing Robert Burton, the guy who was married to Imogene at that time, his smoking jacket with a little foulard, So he's thinking, wow, this is some multimillionaire that for kicks wants to write for a comic. What's this all about? Anyway, that lasted about 10 minutes because when I looked for a piece of paper that I had some notes on, my unemployment check fell out. Then he got into this impression riff. And one of the impressions was of William Powell as the Thin Man. He goes, "There's your man, Inspector. A liar, a cheat, a thief, and a homicidal maniac. But he's my son and I love him." Well, it was like a manna from heaven.
Bill Dana had created a character called Jose Jimenez, who's like a Mexican, nowadays it might be very politically incorrect, but kind of like a Mexican Spanish character who works in a hotel and speaks with an accent.
We did no pilot or anything. The character was so hot anyway, and I all this time have said, hey, we're in a hotel, there should be a house detective. And I said, I got the guy, Don Adams, he's perfect. So we created Byron Glick.
Mr. Glick was just trying to be a good detective, Mr. Phillips.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Glick, if you really want to prove what a good detective you are, I know an excellent way you can do it.
How is that, sir?
By tracking down your brain.
Yes, sir. I'll get right on that. Right away, Mr. Glick.
So that character was doing the would you believe gag, and that's what Buck Henry and Mel Brooks get thrown at them. It's brilliant.
And I happen to know that at this very minute, 7 Coast Guard cutters are converging on this boat. Would you believe it? 7.
I find that pretty hard to believe.
Would you believe 6?
I don't think so.
How about 2 cops on a rowboat?
And in the pilot, which is rarely shown because it's in black and white, he really does his full-out Bill Powell voice.
Well, I think I'd like to take K-13 with me on this one. We've worked together before, and he's proved useful.
Send in K-13.
Yes, sir.
Over the next 3 or 4 shows, it got worn away. It got softened a bit because it was a touch abrasive.
It was a blessing in the first year to have Buck as the story editor. I felt the story had to be there or Get Smart would not succeed.
We were parodying specific events from other movies and, from sort of cultural touchstone things.
How many arrests did Control make last year?
I don't know.
Who's the #1 man in your organization?
I don't know.
How many cases were assigned to Control last year?
I don't know.
What would you do if you were fired, Mr. Smart?
They can't fire me.
And why not?
I know too much.
Playing around with the bureaucracy, the political bureaucracy.
Gentlemen, I submit that Control is a secret police force answerable only to itself. I submit that it is extravagant in its budget, ineffectual in its conduct, and worthless to the national interest.
He's on to us, Chief.
We drag this stuff out of the news all the time.
I will not be denied my vengeance on the...
Red Cloud?
You could go pretty far. The Big Arrow always comes to mind.
Great main title. I was inordinately proud of it. I didn't realize it would have the longevity it had. In fact, a number of times in the latter years, I said, let's change it, and everybody voted against it.
In Hollywood, the winner is Bruce Bilson for Get Smart. Maxwell Smart, sign it out.
The night we won the Emmy, it happened to be my 40th birthday, but I won for directing, Don won for acting, and Burt Nodella, who is a very good friend who I went to school with, won as the producer of the show.
I am hyperventilating.
And Rickles was at the table. And it was just a very big night for Get Smart. And that's the night that this came around. And Don came back with it from winning and sat down at the table. And Rickles said something, and Don turned to him. And as he turned to him, he sat down, and this thing went like that. It got him. It was really almost dangerous. It just drew a little blood.
Missed it by that much.
For this, I thank the Academy for being great fun to write for. Thank you, Don, Barbara, and Ed. And for continual satiric inspiration, I want to thank all those zanies in the CIA and the FBI.
Precisely what I was going to say. Thank you.
Try to keep your identity as secret as possible.
Don't worry, Chief. I know how to be inconspicuous. With all this dampness in the air, I can never do a thing with my hair.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Yes, especially when it starts to curl up on the end.
Ship of Spies did win the Emmy, and it was very gratifying and exhilarating.
Max! Here we go.
$99?
What, Max?
You don't suppose when you pulled me, you might have torn me in half, do you?
I read the character Agent 99. I didn't audition for it, but I just read the script. I loved her outfit. She was wearing a chauffeur's outfit, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, you're a girl.
And I felt really comfortable with her and her attitude.
Barbara Feldon as 99 was really an amazing role model for young girls. She's kind of a feminist character in many ways at that time period because she's a woman with a job, she's a spy, she goes out there, she combats evil.
Come on, 99, let's get out of here. That thing is liable to go off any minute.
No, Max. When I caught the football, I heard it ticking. It was a simple timing mechanism, so I defused it with my bobby pin. Put on a pretty good act, didn't I?
You certainly did, 99, but you have to admit that my act of pretending to be frightened wasn't bad either.
I think one of the things that defined Agent 99's character on screen was Max.
But in many cases, it's 99 who's really running the show.
Nitro floor paint.
That's right. One false move and you'll be blown to kingdom come. Come on, Max.
99 never thought Max was dumb, but I think that she so worshipped him that any negativity just got sort of swept under the carpet and she could just go on with this complete adoration of him.
Max, are you listening?
Huh? Oh, yes, Chief. I'm just trying to figure something out. You see, the position of all these Chaos agents can be explained, all except one.
Which one is that?
Now, what's this guy doing up here in Manitoba?
He was holding the map up.
I had seen Ed Platt in East of Eden and loved him and remember waiting for the credits to come on at the end of the film so I'd know his name. And I had an instinct that he would be ideal for the chief. My only concern was, would Ed be at home in comedy?
Here's our plan.
Hold it, Chief.
And I told him that. And he looked at me a moment thoughtfully, and then he stood up in my office, and suddenly he was singing Old Man River.
Alouette, gentille alouette, alouette, je te plumerai.
I knew I had my chief.
Good evening, Schmart.
We should talk about Bernie. He's another person with whom I had worked in the past and felt privileged to have seen a performance of his in Santa Monica Theater.
Leonard came to see this play where I was a Russian peddler selling what I called a fruit fluter. A fruit fluter, you screw it into a potato and it comes out a ribbon and you make a beautiful design and it's great.
He was immersed in the character to such a degree, I said to Gloria, my wife, we have to go backstage and I want to talk to the actor. That was brilliant.
Leonard came backstage. His head was kind of scraping against the ceiling and he said, I think you're terrific. We're going to work together. And I was used to people saying something like that and I was saying to myself, sure, work together. Right.
And he couldn't get out of the accent. We spoke and he was still in character. And I thought, that's remarkable. And I called him the next day to see if he had lost the voice finally.
This is Siegfried. Are you going to give me the X-11?
Leonard called me the next day and I said, how do you do, Mr. Stern? It's a great pleasure to talk to you. Showing that I wasn't that guy anymore.
And I said, someday we'll work together.
Within 2 years, he created the role of Siegfried for me. And we became very dear friends, and we're still friends today.
And now, just to show you there are no hard feelings, a little magic trick.
Hey, look, Chief, it's a rabbit.
Observe this. Hands up!
The old gun and the rabbit trick, and I fell for it.
Even today, when I go out on the street, I don't think a week goes by that somebody doesn't yell, "Yo, 99."
The thing that I love about Get Smart is that it works on so many different levels. I mean, you can be a kid and enjoy it, and you can be an adult and enjoy it. And it's slapstick, it's farce, and at the same time, it's brilliant satire, and it's parody. So it's working on all these different levels of humor simultaneously, and it's quite ingenious.
But I look back on this as being one of the outstanding, happy memories of my career.
Auf Wiedersehen, Schmart.